We are counting down 10 moments from USA 1994 that still give football and soccer fans chills decades later. Scandal that ended a legend's career, a scoring record nobody has touched since, underdogs who rewrote the script, and a tragedy that transcended the sport entirely. This tournament had no chill. So which moment tops them all? Let us kick it off at number 10, a goal that covered 70 yards of pure madness. In 10th place, Saudi Arabia delivered a moment of pure World Cup insanity. Saeed Al-Owairan's 70-yard solo sprint against Belgium. 1 minute here. The official FIFA distance was 69.8 meters, confirmed by Opta, and it came in the 67th minute. That goal did not just win the match, it clinched Saudi Arabia's first ever knockout qualification and earned Al-Owairan FIFA's goal of the tournament. Not bad for a debutante nation. Legend says the Saudi royal family even rewarded him with a Rolls-Royce. For one audacious run, the world learned that USA 1994 would be full of the unexpected. Number 9, Sweden's run to 3rd place was the World Cup's most joyful shock. This was not a team built on defensive grit. They scored 15 times more than any other nation that summer. Thomas Brolin and Martin Dahlin both found the net 4 times each, powering a side that never seemed to run out of steam. Down 2-1 against Romania in the quarterfinals, Sweden clawed back to force penalties, and they held their nerve to advance. The bronze medal match was a 4-0 demolition of Bulgaria, capping a journey that started with zero expectations. In 8th place, the United States turned a one-off World Cup into a permanent soccer revolution. Stadiums averaged over 68,000 fans per game, still a record for the tournament, with the Rose Bowl final packing in more than 94,000. But the real shock came after the confetti settled. Youth soccer registrations shot up 32% in just 6 months, flooding parks and school fields across the country. Corporate sponsorships doubled the seed money for Major League Soccer, launching the league with a $35 million guarantee. What started as a summer experiment ended up rewriting the U.S. sports landscape, proving that soccer could thrive far beyond traditional strongholds. Number 7, Bulgaria's run to the semifinals reads like a football fairy tale that nobody saw coming. Written off before a ball was kicked, Bulgaria's secret weapon was Stoichkov, who scored 6 times to claim a share of the Golden Boot sporting history. Bulgaria's switch to an aggressive 4-3-3 formation with a relentless high press left opponents scrambling, while back home, Sofia's streets erupted in celebrations that lasted until sunrise. For a few unforgettable weeks, a team with no previous knockout wins became the darlings of the World Cup, proving that tactics and belief can upend decades of football tradition. Stoichkov's charge didn't just shock the Giants, it made Bulgaria a household name overnight. Salenko's 5-goal eruption for Russia against Cameroon still reads like a fever dream in World Cup history. The net, with a conversion rate of 62%, and his finishing was so clinical that the FIFA technical bulletin called it unrepeatable. The stats alone stun. 5 goals from 8 shots, 0 misses, all in a group game that meant elimination for Russia anyway. Yet this outburst earned Salenko a share of the Golden Boot, even though he played only 3 matches. After the final whistle, Salenko shrugged off the chaos and told reporters that he had just finished the work. For trivia lovers, here's the kicker. He remains the only player to win the Golden Boot without ever reaching the knockout stage. That is a stat sheet for the ages. Number 5. Nigeria's World Cup debut was not just a splash, it was a tidal wave for African football. The Super Eagles arrived in the United States with zero fear, and they turned Group D into their personal showcase. They topped the group on their very first try, scoring in every match and dazzling with a brand of football that was all speed, swagger, and unfiltered joy. Their average sprint pace was among the tournament's fastest, leaving European defenders scrambling to keep up. That 3-0 demolition of Bulgaria set the tone, and even the narrow loss to Italy could not dim the continent's pride. FIFA's post-tournament rankings bumped Nigeria up to 5th in the world, the highest ever for an African team at the time. Suddenly, every kid from Lagos to Dakar believed the global stage was theirs to conquer. Nigeria did not just compete, they redefined what was possible for an entire continent. Number 4. Colombia's World Cup journey took a devastating turn with one swing of Andres Escobar's boot. A split-second mistake that sealed Colombia's elimination and unleashed a tidal wave of national Colombia Pierde. President Cesar Gaviria called for unity and told reporters that the nation mourned a tragedy on the field, not a crime off it. Escobar's own goal became more than a football mishap. It triggered days of national mourning, and heartbreakingly, he was shot and killed back home just 10 days later. The outpouring of grief led to candlelit vigils, public memorials, and a reckoning with the darker side of football fanaticism. In the aftermath, Colombia overhauled player security and sports governance, determined that no result would ever carry such a terrible cost again. This was the moment when the World Cup's passion spilled far beyond the pitch, reminding the world that sometimes the stakes are tragically real. Coming to the top 3, Roberto Baggio's journey through USA 1994. In the knockout rounds, Baggio became Italy's lifeline, scoring 5 times in just 3 games. Teammates remember him practicing penalties after every training session, visualizing the perfect strike. But when the final came, the weight of a nation bore down. After 120 minutes of deadlock, Baggio stepped up for Italy's last penalty in the shootout. His run-up was calm, but the ball soared over the bar, a moment that froze the Rose Bowl in silence. In the locker room, Baggio quietly told his teammates, "I've given my soul. The fans will understand." Even so, his Silver Ball award and those 5 knockout goals remain proof that one man's brilliance can carry a team to the brink. That image, hands on hips, head bowed, became the face of World Cup agony, but also its enduring legend. Number 2, Brazil's World Cup story in 1994 is a tale of redemption, risk, and a tactical masterstroke, all revolving around Romario. Just weeks before kickoff, the debate in Brazil was whether Romario should even be on the plane to the United States. His fitness was under the microscope, with national newspapers tracking every sprint and every physiotherapy session. The Brazilian Football Confederation's own logs clocked him at 96% of his peak sprint speed, enough to convince coach Carlos Pereira to roll the dice. Pereira famously quipped after the quarterfinals, "No Romario, no party," and the numbers back him up. Romario was directly involved in 5 of Brazil's 6 goals, scoring 5 and assisting 1, but it was not just about goals. The real twist was a subtle shift to a 4-2-2-2 formation, giving Romario and Bebeto the freedom to wreak havoc up front, while Dunga and Mauro Silva held the midfield fort. That tweak turned Brazil from nearly men to champions, snapping a 24-year drought and setting the template for a new era of Brazilian football. For a player whose call-up was a national controversy, Romario's finger-pointing celebrations became the image of glory, and his impact still echoes every time Brazil lines up in a World Cup knockout match. And finally, in first place, nothing shook the football world at USA 1994 like Diego Maradona's expulsion for doping. The timeline reads like a crime novel. On June 24th, just after Argentina's win over Nigeria, Maradona's urine sample landed at the USADA lab in Colorado. The result was 15 micrograms per milliliter of ephedrine, 5 over FIFA's limit. Within 48 hours, the news rocketed through the press. By July 1st, FIFA banned Maradona for 15 months and ejected him from the tournament. Argentina, stripped of its talisman, collapsed in the very next match. The fallout was seismic. Global sponsors dropped Maradona overnight, and the Argentine Football Association scrambled to defend its reputation. For the record, the substance was not cocaine. It was alleged to be an over-the-counter cold medicine, or so Maradona claimed, but the damage was done. The scandal did not just end a legend's World Cup career. It forced FIFA to tighten anti-doping rules forever. For a moment, the beautiful game was all about accountability, and the world watched as its brightest star fell. Across all 10 moments, one thing stands out. USA 1994 was not just unpredictable, it was football's wild experiment. The world's biggest stars cracked under pressure, records fell, and even FIFA could not script the chaos. That is why 1994 still feels less like history and more like legend. What is your favorite moment?